You've been told to want more. But what if more is what's keeping you from enough? We live in a world where desire is currency. Every scroll, every ad, every upgrade whispers the same thing. You need this to be complete. Fulfillment always seems one click, one raise, or one goal away. But no matter how much we acquire, something still aches. This book is about that ache, not to suppress it, shame it, or pretend we don't want things, but to understand it, to walk straight into the heart of desire and ask a better question. What if you already have what you've been seeking? That's not just a feel-good phrase, it's a testable truth. Backed by psychology, neuroscience, and lived experience. Already Yours explores the paradox of modern life, how we adapt to what we once craved, how we overvalue ownership, and how shifting our perception can radically increase our satisfaction without changing a single external condition. This book is not about settling, it's about reclaiming. It's about the quiet power of seeing what's been in front of you all along. In the pages ahead, you'll learn how to spot the hidden patterns that trap you in pursuit, how to rewire the scarcity mindset, and how to design a personal system of gratitude, presence, and optimization. You'll finish with a 30-day recalibration. More than a challenge, it's a lifestyle shift that resets how you see value, joy, and enoughness. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stop reaching and start receiving. Welcome to Already Yours. Chapter 1. The Pursuit Trap. Why chasing more leads to less. There's something intoxicating about the pursuit. It makes your heart race, your mind sharpens, everything feels alive and urgent. Whether it's chasing a career milestone, a physique goal, a partner, or a number in your bank account, there's a thrill in striving, a hunger, a hope. And somewhere along the way, we began to mistake that feeling for progress. We learned to equate movement with meaning. To chase is to be someone. To want is to be alive. But here's the truth nobody teaches until you've burned out chasing it. Endless pursuit doesn't make life richer. It makes it harder to breathe. The setup from childhood, we're trained to want the next thing. Think about it. You're rewarded for future goals, grades, trophies, degrees, job offers. You're not told to savor learning, only to achieve. You're not taught to appreciate play, only to win. And in the adult world, this system only amplifies. Metrics, milestones, KPIs, to-do lists. Hustle culture rebranded stress as success. And now, you're here, likely tired, slightly wired, and low-key wondering, when does it actually feel like enough? You've had moments of victory, maybe even abundance, but they fade, the job gets old, the body becomes normal, the love feels expected, and so the cycle begins again. Chase, get, adapt, feel empty, chase again. Hedonic adaptation, the invisible thief. There's a term in psychology for this pattern, hedonic adaptation. It's the process by which humans quickly return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major positive or negative changes. In plain English, you get used to everything. That shiny new car smell, it wears off. That dream house, it becomes your Tuesday. That person you once begged the universe for, you now argue over dishes. The human brain is designed for survival, not sustained euphoria. It normalizes, quickly, which means the joy you thought would last forever often lasts, maybe 2 weeks, a few months if you're lucky. So you think, maybe I didn't aim high enough, maybe a newer version, a bigger salary, a different city, and round you go. But what if the problem isn't what you're pursuing? What if it's the pursuit itself? The illusion of fulfillment. Here's what nobody tells you until you crash. Chasing a future high makes you blind to present truth. It trains your nervous system to associate joy with lack. You're not happy because you're focused on what you don't have. Your attention is pulled outward, forward, anywhere but here. And in that state, even wins feel like notches on a scoreboard you never stop updating. You become the hamster in the wheel, not realizing the wheel is in your mind. Desire isn't the enemy, but unquestioned desire is. When you assume that the solution is out there, you abandon the power of what's already in your possession. Your energy gets consumed by forward momentum instead of current capacity. You become a collector of goals instead of a designer of joy. More, better. Let's break a myth that's been sold for centuries. More is not better. Better is better. More money doesn't make you more generous. More attention doesn't make you more loved. More possessions don't make you more at peace. In fact, often the opposite happens. The more you have, the more you manage. The more you compare. The more you fear losing. The freedom you thought you were building turns into a cage made of expectations. You trade your being for endless becoming. You keep upgrading the outer world, hoping it upgrades the inner one. But the inner world doesn't respond to numbers. It responds to meaning, presence, alignment, and when you're too busy chasing, you miss the signal. The quiet fear underneath. So why do we do it? Why do smart, self-aware, accomplished people keep falling into the pursuit trap? Because underneath all that ambition is a fear, sometimes loud, often quiet. The fear that you, as you are not enough. That fear is profitable. Industries are built on it. It keeps people buying things they don't need, working jobs they hate, comparing their lives to strangers online. It keeps the machine running. But here's what makes you dangerous. The moment you stop believing that fear, the trap breaks. And when it breaks, something powerful happens. You don't stop growing, but your growth shifts direction. It stops being about more. It starts being about meaning. The pause that changes everything. Pause. Right now. Wherever you are. Stop thinking about the next thing. Don't plan your next move. Instead, ask yourself, what am I currently living through that I once prayed for? Think about that. Seriously, what are you surrounded by today that your past self would have killed to experience? The answer might be small or massive. A roof over your head. A working body. Time to read a book like this. We miss miracles every day because we're trained to only notice what's missing. The pursuit trap depends on one thing, your inattention to the present. So we break the trap by paying attention. Presence is power. This isn't some fluffy idea, it's a neurological reality. Studies show that people who practice gratitude and presence actually retrain their brain's default pathways. They become more resilient, more satisfied, and less reactive to external conditions. Not because life gets easier, but because their focus gets sharper. And when you learn to focus on what is, instead of what isn't, everything shifts. You stop needing to be the best. You stop waiting to be ready. You stop trading your life for likes or your peace for status. You become the kind of person who can hold space for joy, even in the in-between, even before the big win, even when life isn't perfect. Because you've started to understand something most people never do. Peace isn't the reward at the end of the journey. It's the fuel that powers it. From chasing to choosing. So what now? You're not being asked to kill your goals. You're being invited to inspect them, to ask, is this pursuit rooted in lack or love? Am I running from discomfort or toward alignment? Do I believe I'll be enough after I get this, or am I already enough now? Because that shift, tiny but atomic, changes your life. It rewrites the script. It unplugs you from the loop. It teaches your nervous system a new story. I already have what I need to feel full. I am already living inside the life I once longed for. And from that place, you don't chase your goals. You choose them. With clarity, with purpose, with peace. Because now, you're not proving. You're expressing. You're not desperate. You're deliberate. You're not lost in pursuit. You're finally home. Chapter 2. The Scarcity Mindset. The invisible script that fuels. Lack scarcity doesn't always look like poverty. Sometimes it looks like overthinking, like refreshing your feed 10 times in an hour, like being surrounded by stuff but still feeling empty, like getting exactly what you asked for and wondering why it doesn't feel like enough. Scarcity is a mental software, installed without consent, updated daily, and disguised as ambition. And until you see it, you'll keep living by its rules. What is a scarcity mindset, really? At its core, a scarcity mindset is the belief that there's never enough. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough love, not enough attention, and most dangerously, not enough you. It's subtle. You might not say it out loud, but you feel it. You check your phone in the morning, and someone else is ahead. You finish a task, but you're already behind on the next. You hit a goal, and instead of satisfaction, you feel pressure to go again. Higher, faster, louder. Scarcity convinces you that if you don't keep running, you'll fall behind. That if someone else wins, you lose. That if you're not constantly improving, you're worthless. It's not just fear of missing out, it's fear of being left behind. The origin story of scarcity. This mindset isn't natural, it's programmed. We didn't wake up believing we were behind. We were taught to think that way. Think back. Childhood often starts with comparison, grades, behavior, talent. You're rewarded for outperforming others, not understanding yourself. School teaches you to rank, not reflect. Then media teaches you to compare what you have to what others show. You're raised in a system that's less about actual survival and more about status survival. This creates a reality where worth is conditional, where you're only as valuable as your last achievement, your last like, your last purchase. And that's the dangerous thing about scarcity. It doesn't need to be true. It only needs to feel true. Scarcity isn't about stuff, it's about safety. People often confuse scarcity with lack of resources, but scarcity starts in the nervous system. It's not about how much you have, it's about how safe you feel. Someone can make 6 figures and still panic about bills. Someone can be deeply loved and still feel abandoned. Someone can live in abundance and still make choices rooted in fear. Why? Because the brain doesn't calculate logic first. It reacts to perceived threat. And if you've been conditioned to feel like you're always one step away from failure, you'll never relax into the present moment, even when it's good. You'll sabotage good relationships. You'll dismiss compliments. You'll feel guilty resting. You'll downplay your wins. You won't allow yourself to feel full, because scarcity taught you that fullness is a trap. That joy is temporary. That something bad is always around the corner. So you stay tense, defensive, distracted, and the tragedy is, this becomes normal. Scarcity language, the words that shape reality. Start noticing your language. Scarcity hides in the way we speak. I don't have time. I can't afford that. I'm too late. There's no point. That's not for people like me. If I don't do this, I'll fall off. These aren't just throwaway phrases, they're scripts. They reinforce a worldview where you're powerless and there's never enough. But what if those statements weren't facts, just familiar? What if the truth was this? You have time. You're just afraid to slow down. You can afford it. You just haven't prioritized it. You're not too late. You're just comparing your timeline to someone else's highlight reel. You do have a chance. You just haven't believed in your own enoughness long enough to act. Language creates focus, and focus creates your emotional reality. The high cost of scarcity. Living in scarcity does more than make you tired. It damages your relationships. It distorts your sense of self. It trains you to hoard energy instead of expressing it. It pushes you to consume instead of create. You see this in how people shop when they feel empty, how they scroll when they feel anxious, how they chase people who don't value them, because deep down, they don't feel worth choosing. Scarcity is expensive, not in money, but in missed peace. Every decision made in fear costs you clarity. Every choice made in comparison costs you authenticity. Every day spent rushing past your current blessings is a day you can't get back. Abundance isn't a bank statement, it's a baseline. The opposite of scarcity isn't wealth, it's abundance consciousness. That doesn't mean walking around saying, "I'm rich," when your card just declined. It means rewiring your default settings. It means moving through life as someone who expects meaning, who trusts their ability to create value, who doesn't panic at silence or slow days or small beginnings. It means believing this. There's enough time for your path. There's enough room for your voice. There's enough value in your story. There's enough within you to feel peace now, not later. Abundance doesn't start with getting more. It starts with noticing more. The shift from lack to leverage. Once you recognize the scarcity script, you can rewrite it. This doesn't mean ignoring your goals. It means not needing them to feel worthy. You can still want growth. You can still grind. But now, it comes from a place of wholeness, not deficiency. You no longer chase success because you feel broken. You move toward it because you're lit up, with vision, with energy, with purpose. That shift alone changes everything. You stop waiting for external permission to feel content. You stop letting other people's timelines stress you out. You stop using struggle as proof that you're trying hard enough. Instead, you move with intention. You trust your rhythm. You rest without guilt. You learn to make peace with the present. And from that place, you build things that last. Abundance practice. Here's a simple challenge to start shifting today. The abundance notice for 3 days straight. Set a timer for 3 different times in your day. When it goes off, pause and write down 3 things you have right now that represent some form of wealth. It could be a soft hoodie, a healthy body, time to think, a song that hits different, a friend who checks in, a moment of calm. Do this consistently. Your brain will start looking for value, and over time, it'll stop panicking when value doesn't come from out there, because it knows how to see what's already here. Scarcity isn't just a mindset, it's a lens. And once you learn to take that lens off, you stop reacting, you start designing, you stop proving, you start enjoying. You begin to trust something deeper. You are not late, you are not behind, you are not lacking, you are already enough. Chapter 3. Adaptation and Discontent. Why getting what you want doesn't make you happy for long. You finally get the thing, the promotion, the new place, the partner who checks all the boxes, the bigger bank balance, the better body, the dream opportunity. And for a moment, it hits. The rush, the satisfaction, the inner voice whispering, "You did it." But then, almost quietly, it fades. And the strangest thing happens. Instead of feeling full, you feel itchy, like something's missing again, like you should be doing more, wanting more, chasing the next level. Welcome to the human condition. Welcome to adaptation. The psychological treadmill. There's a name for this in behavioral science, the hedonic treadmill. It's the tendency of humans to quickly return to a baseline level of happiness after major positive or negative life events. In short, we get used to the good, fast. That dream job, eventually, it just becomes work. That partner, they go from fireworks to furniture in your mind. That bank balance, it becomes the new floor, not the ceiling. We normalize everything, and once something becomes normal, it stops giving us that hit, that excitement, that sense of elevation. So, like someone chasing a high, we go again. More goals, more upgrades, more stimulation, but nothing sticks. And that's the heart of modern discontent. Desire has no finish line. Here's a hard truth. Desire doesn't end when you get what you want. It just shapeshifts. You wanted the job. Now you want the title. You wanted the car. Now you want the faster one. You wanted followers. Now you want influence. You wanted love. Now you want more attention. You wanted peace. Now you're bored with it. This isn't because you're greedy. It's because your brain is designed to survive, not stay satisfied. From an evolutionary standpoint, being content was risky. If you sat around enjoying the view for too long, someone else was chasing food, status, or safety. But in today's world, that same mechanism turns abundance into anxiety. We don't hunt for survival. We chase for self-worth. And the bar keeps moving. The fantasy of arrival. There's this unspoken promise society feeds us. Once you get there, you'll be happy. We don't question it. We structure our whole lives around it. We say things like, once I move out, things will calm down. Once I get this money up, I'll be good. Once I finish this course, I'll feel confident. Once I get fit, I'll love myself more. But every there becomes another here. And if you've been relying on external shifts to fix internal emptiness, you'll be stuck in a forever loop of disappointment. Because the problem was never the goal. It was the belief that the goal would solve you. Pleasure fades, but meaning stays. We confuse excitement with happiness, but they're not the same. Excitement is short-term, dopamine-based, and external. Happiness, or more accurately, fulfillment, is deeper, slower, and internal. Adaptation happens to pleasure, but meaning doesn't fade. Buying a new phone, you'll adapt. Spending time helping someone in crisis, that'll stay with you. Upgrading your wardrobe, you'll get used to it. Building something that matters to you, that anchors you for years. If you're constantly feeling numb after a win, check this. Are you chasing pleasure or building meaning? Because one fades, the other transforms you. The subtle art of letting moments land. One reason adaptation hits so hard is that we don't let things land. We rush through success. We don't pause to feel it. We don't soak in our growth. We don't honor the journey. We get the win and immediately move to the next thing, like we're afraid if we stop to breathe, we'll fall behind. But your nervous system needs integration. You need space to register the fact that you did it. You need to marinate in the enough before you go chasing more. Otherwise, you're just teaching your brain that nothing is ever satisfying. So take the trip. Celebrate the milestone. Look back and actually see how far you've come. Because when you don't let the good land, it's like eating without tasting. You're full, but still starving. The shift. From highs to harmony. The goal isn't to avoid desire, it's to build a better relationship with it. One where you can want things without needing them to validate your existence. One where you can enjoy pleasure without depending on it for identity. One where you can hold both ambition and contentment in the same breath. This is what I call harmonic living, where you're not stuck in an either-or trap. You don't need to choose between chasing goals or being present. You move in rhythm, knowing when to push and when to pause, knowing when to expand and when to enjoy. That's real power. Not just reaching new levels, but having the emotional range to enjoy them once you're there. Let the enoughness catch up. Ask yourself, when's the last time I let myself feel proud? When's the last time I sat in a win instead of brushing past it? What goal have I achieved recently that I haven't even emotionally registered yet? If you never stop to feel enough, you'll never believe you are. You'll keep living like you're behind. Keep chasing goals with a hungry heart. Keep wondering why happiness slips through your fingers. So here's a radical move. Pause. Look at your life. See what you've survived. See what you've built. See what you've become. And let that land. Let the enoughness catch up. Because maybe the problem isn't that you want too much. Maybe it's that you've forgotten how much you already have. And once you remember, you stop looking for your life to save you. And you finally start living it. Chapter 4. What you have reclaiming the value of now. There's something wild about the way the mind works. It can obsess over what's missing, while sitting in a room full of everything it once begged for. Read that again. You can be surrounded by blessings, and still feel broke, still feel lonely, still feel like you're behind, not because you lack, but because you're not looking in the right direction. This chapter is your reminder. Before you chase more, learn to see what's already yours. The blind spot of modern life, look around. If you have clean water, shelter, access to food, the ability to read this book, and even 5 uninterrupted minutes to reflect, you're in a position of privilege most of the world only dreams about. But that kind of gratitude doesn't trend. There's no dopamine rush in normal. There's no applause for what's constant. And so we forget. Not because we're ungrateful, but because we're overstimulated. We're trained to notice lack and ignore stability, to see the next thing as more valuable than the current thing. You scroll past your own life looking for someone else's, and in doing so, you miss the beauty that's right in front of you. We crave what we once had. What's mad is how often we miss what we had. Once it's gone, you've done it. We all have. You miss the job you complained about, once the stress of unemployment hits. You miss the relationship that felt boring, now that the silence is deafening. You miss the tiny flat, once you realize how lonely the big house can be. You miss the chaotic home you grew up in, the noise, the love, the imperfection. Here's the pattern. We only value what we're present with. But presence is rare these days. It's a skill now, not a default. The modern world pulls your attention in every direction, except here. And if you're not careful, you'll live in a highlight reel of what's next until your entire life becomes a blur of potential, never presence. You're already in the middle of the dream pause. Right now. Think about something you once deeply wanted, something that kept you up at night, something you journaled about, something you prayed for, something you fantasized about when things were tough. Now ask yourself, is that thing now part of your reality? It might be the career you now treat as routine. It might be the freedom you forgot to appreciate. It might be the you that you've become. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us are standing inside the life we used to dream about, and we're too distracted to even notice. The myth of more valuable. Dull, newer modern culture runs on upgrades. Every few months, your phone becomes old. Your goals feel outdated. Your clothes, your tech, your lifestyle, suddenly not enough. But newer doesn't always mean better. Faster doesn't always mean deeper. More shiny doesn't always mean more satisfying. In fact, many of the things that make life rich, connection, peace, routine, safety, are deeply unremarkable from the outside. They don't flex well. They don't impress strangers. They just support you. Quietly. Consistently. And that's exactly why they matter. Reframing the word enough, society treats enough like it's failure, like settling, like giving up on potential. But what if enough is where true joy lives? Enough doesn't mean stopping. It means stabilizing. It means anchoring into peace. It means no longer needing to prove or perform for the world. You can still want more. You can still grow. But now, it's from overflow, not emptiness. You're not building from lack. You're building from fullness. And that changes everything. Inventory of the present. Let's get practical for a minute. Close your eyes and scan your life right now. Ask yourself, what do I have that supports me daily? What relationships do I take for granted? What parts of myself have evolved, quietly, powerfully? What comforts, privileges, or routines do I now call normal that past me would have been amazed by? You might find abundance in the simple stuff, a playlist that makes you feel alive, a bed that keeps you warm, the ability to express yourself through writing or speech, access to knowledge, healing, or creativity. People who get you, even when you're not at your best, you start to realize. The present moment isn't a pit stop, it's the reward. The relationship between value and awareness. Value isn't inherent, it's assigned, and awareness is what activates it. A moment means nothing until you notice it. A person becomes special when you see them fully. Your life becomes beautiful when you slow down enough to feel it. Gratitude isn't a fluffy emotional add-on. It's an awareness amplifier. It's how you train your brain to recognize value, not just once, but constantly. And the more you do that, the less you chase things that don't matter, the less you compare, the less you panic about being behind. You stop waiting for joy to arrive. You start finding it where you are. You don't need a new life. You need new eyes. What if this whole time you were never broken? What if your life isn't lacking, but your attention is scattered? What if the next chapter of your transformation isn't about changing your circumstances, but changing your relationship to them? Not every answer lives in reinvention. Some live in recognition. Look around. What you're looking for might already be here. It's not buried under more success. It's woven into your mornings. It's sitting in your friendships. It's inside your breath. It's stitched into the ordinary. It's already yours. Chapter 5. Shifting Perception. How changing focus reshapes fulfillment. Two people can live through the exact same day, same schedule, same circumstances, and one ends the day grateful, while the other ends it frustrated. One feels full, the other feels cheated. What made the difference? Perception. Not luck, not external rewards, not even what happened, but how they interpreted what happened. The mind isn't just a recorder of reality. It's a filter, a narrator, an editor. And most of the time, that narrator isn't telling the full story. It's telling the story you believe, not the one that's true. And if your beliefs are based in scarcity, lack, or pain, that's what your life will feel like, even when you're winning. The power of framing. Imagine this. You're stuck in traffic on the way to an interview. You're sweating, anxious, watching the clock. Thoughts spiral. Why does this always happen to me? If I'm late, they'll think I'm irresponsible. I might as well turn around. Now imagine the same situation, but you zoom out. This delay might be saving me from something worse. I'm not defined by this one event. This is an opportunity to show how I handle pressure. Nothing outside changed, but everything inside did. That's the shift. That's perception. And perception is what writes the emotional tone of your life. Life isn't what happens. It's what you focus on. If you only focus on what's missing, you'll never feel enough. If you only focus on flaws, you'll never feel attractive. If you only see what others have, you'll forget what you hold. It's not that pain isn't real. It's that pain without perspective becomes a prison. But the moment you shift that lens, from lack to learning, from struggle to strength, your whole reality expands. The traffic jam becomes a mindfulness exercise. The breakup becomes a rebirth. The delay becomes divine timing. You're not bypassing. You're reframing. You're not faking positivity. You're choosing power. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Where you place it becomes your life. Attention is the soil of your inner world. What you plant there grows. Focus on fear, you grow anxiety. Focus on gratitude, you grow peace. Focus on growth, you grow forward. And here's what most people don't realize. You can train your attention. Just like you can train your body or your diet, you can train your focus. Every time you pause and reframe, you're rewiring the way your brain sees reality. You're not ignoring your problems, you're positioning yourself above them. That's not weakness, that's emotional maturity. Why the mind defaults to the negative. There's a reason why we're wired to spot danger more than beauty. It's called the negativity bias, a survival mechanism that kept your ancestors alive. They didn't need to admire sunsets, they needed to spot threats. So your brain still leans that way. It remembers insults louder than praise. It reacts stronger to losses than wins. It prepares for the worst, even when life is going well. But here's the difference between you and your ancestors. You're not surviving anymore. You're building, growing, designing, which means it's time to update the lens. Not to deny what's real, but to reprogram what you lead with. Try this, the flip frame technique. Here's a practice I teach in coaching sessions. Whenever something annoys, frustrates, or discourages you, run it through this flip. What else could this mean? Instead of, "This always happens to me," try, "What is this moment trying to teach me?" What's the hidden advantage here? Even if something sucks, ask, what skill or strength might this build? What would the wiser version of me see? Step out of the moment. Ask what the future you, calm, fulfilled, abundant, would say about this situation. It's not magic, it's mental strength. And like all strength, it builds over time. The unseen blessings test. There's another flip that works wonders when practiced consistently. Act like you're being blessed right now, and your only job is to find out how. Start doing that, and you'll unlock hidden meaning everywhere. That delayed payment, it gave you time to reflect before spending. That rejection, it protected your energy for something more aligned. That random moment of stillness, it helped you feel what you'd been avoiding. Again, it's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that everything is part of the path. And when you live that way, even ordinary days feel sacred. Rebuilding trust in your own lens. You may have been raised in a house or culture that taught you not to trust what you see. Maybe you were gaslit. Maybe you were told, "Don't make a big deal," when it was a big deal. Maybe you were trained to only see flaws, mistakes, or danger. So even now, in a calmer life, your lens is tinted by survival. That's real. But it's not permanent. You get to retrain it. Not overnight, but one moment at a time. You start noticing the little wins. You start spotting beauty in the mundane. You start saying, "This is working out," even if you don't have proof yet. And eventually, your lens stops lying to you, because you taught it how to see clearly. You're not stuck. You're focused on the wrong thing. This is the truth that changes everything. Most people aren't stuck. They're just overly focused on what's not working. You've been zoomed in on the crack in the wall instead of stepping back to see the whole room. Zoom out. See the full picture. See the strength in your struggles. See the momentum you've built. See how far you've already come. Because once you shift your lens, your reality follows. And the life you used to chase starts to feel a lot more like home. Chapter 6. Gratitude as Practice. From occasional thanks to daily power. Gratitude is one of those words that sounds soft, like something you write in a journal once a week or say before dinner. But the truth is, real gratitude, the kind you practice, not just post about, is a force. It's disruptive. It rewires your nervous system. It sharpens your perception. It turns ordinary days into sacred ones. And it puts you back in control of your emotions. Gratitude isn't the result of happiness. It's the cause. What gratitude really is. Gratitude isn't just saying thanks. It's a state of awareness. It's the decision to notice what's right, to stop scrolling past your blessings, to break your addiction to what's missing. It doesn't mean ignoring pain. It means refusing to let pain be the only voice in your mind. Gratitude is an act of rebellion in a culture that profits off your dissatisfaction. Every time you say, "This is enough," you're stepping off the hamster wheel. You're unplugging from the matrix of not yet. You're reclaiming your ability to feel joy now, not someday. The neuroscience of thanks. This isn't just philosophy, it's biology. Studies show that consistent gratitude practice activates dopamine and serotonin, your feel-good chemicals, lowers cortisol, your stress hormone, increases optimism, resilience, and even quality of sleep, builds new neural pathways focused on positivity and abundance. Gratitude literally changes your brain. It shifts your default. You stop scanning the world for threats. You start scanning for blessings. You start finding beauty in the mundane. And the more you find, the more your brain believes in it. Gratitude becomes your new operating system. Why most people struggle with it? Here's the catch. Gratitude feels unnatural at first, especially if you were raised on survival, struggle, or scarcity. If you were taught to expect disappointment, gratitude might feel naive. If you're used to proving your worth, gratitude might feel lazy. If your life's been loud with chaos, the quiet of contentment might feel uncomfortable. But here's the shift. Gratitude isn't the same as passivity. You can be thankful and still want more. You can feel full and still grow. Gratitude isn't about stopping. It's about starting from peace. That's the difference between hustling to feel worthy and building from wholeness. Real gratitude is embodied. You can't fake it. You can write, "I'm grateful for my family every day," and still feel hollow, if you never stop to feel what that means. True gratitude is a body experience. It's that warmth in your chest when your friend sends a voice note out of nowhere. It's that deep breath when the sun hits your skin on a cold morning. It's that smirk when you realize you survived something that once crushed you. It's not about how many things you list. It's about how deeply you notice them. Gratitude doesn't live on paper. It lives in presence. The 3-layer gratitude method. To make gratitude real, try this layered approach. It turns surface-level thanks into something embodied and powerful. 1. Base gratitude. These are the obvious ones: food, shelter, health, breath, friends. Acknowledge them. Speak them out loud. They're not small. 2. Emotional gratitude. Now go deeper. What experiences are shaping you right now? What moments of connection, growth, or clarity are unfolding, even if they're messy? Start to see the lessons as gifts. 3. Unseen gratitude. This is the advanced level. Can you be grateful in advance? Can you trust that what you're asking for is already on its way? Can you find peace in the becoming? That's when gratitude becomes spiritual. You're no longer waiting to feel full. You're choosing to. Gratitude during pain. The real test of gratitude is not when life is going well. It's when things feel unfair, when nothing makes sense, when the losses outnumber the wins. This isn't about toxic positivity. It's about anchoring in a storm. Even in chaos, you can be grateful for a lesson you didn't want but needed, a person who stayed when things got ugly, the version of you that showed up when it counted, the fact that you're still here, still choosing to grow. Gratitude during pain doesn't erase the pain. It stops it from owning you. Why this matters now more than ever. We're living in a time of constant distraction, comparison, consumption, crisis fatigue. We're told to want, to chase, to upgrade. We're trained to measure our worth by noise and numbers, but gratitude cuts through all of that. It returns you to now. It reminds you that joy isn't out there. It's inside the way you look at your life. And once you learn to find it without needing a reason, you become untouchable. Not perfect, not immune, but centered. The daily practice. Here's how to bring this home. Morning. Before checking your phone, list 3 things you're grateful for. Feel them in your body. Midday. Pause once to say, "Wow, I'm lucky to have this." Could be sunlight, a coffee, a laugh. Night. Before bed, reflect. What did I receive today that I didn't expect? Let it sink in. Gratitude isn't about more effort. It's about more noticing. And the more you notice, the more life becomes something to live, not escape. You don't need a better life to feel grateful. You need a better relationship with the one you already have. And once you build that, you stop chasing peace. You become it. Chapter 7. Understanding Desire. Where it comes from and how it controls you. Desire is powerful. It moves nations, starts wars, builds empires, fuels love songs, breaks hearts, and keeps you scrolling at 2 a.m. Desire isn't the problem. But most people don't understand theirs. They don't ask where it came from. They don't question if it's theirs or if it was planted there by someone else. And so it controls them, silently, relentlessly, convincingly. In this chapter, we're not here to kill your desires. We're here to interrogate them, to put them on the stand, to figure out if they're leading you toward joy or just dragging you in circles. Desire is not random. Most of what you think you want didn't start with you. It was shaped, conditioned, installed by your upbringing, by the ads you saw growing up, by the family member who got praised for success, by the people you follow online, by the stories you watched, the brands you wore, the things you thought meant you made it. Desire doesn't arrive out of nowhere. It's crafted. And unless you pause to trace it, you'll keep chasing lives that don't fit you. You'll pursue careers for status instead of purpose. You'll crave partners for appearances instead of peace. You'll work for goals that don't make you feel anything when you get them, because you mistook someone else's voice for your own. There are two types of desire. Let's break this down. There's authentic desire and acquired desire. Authentic desire comes from soul, alignment, curiosity, inner vision. It's rooted in expression. Acquired desire comes from lack, comparison, programming. It's rooted in validation. Authentic desire sounds like, I feel pulled to this. It excites me. It energizes me. I'd do this even if nobody saw me. This feels like me. Acquired desire sounds like, if I don't do this, I'll fall behind. They're doing it, so maybe I should too. This will finally make them respect me. You can feel the difference. One moves from truth, the other from fear. Most people never stop to make the distinction. They just keep grinding, exhausted, confused, wondering why their wins feel empty. Desire hooks into identity. Here's why it's hard to detach from toxic desires. They hook into your sense of self. You don't just want the thing. You think you are the kind of person who gets that thing. Or worse, you think your value depends on getting it. And that's the trap. When your desires become your identity, you can't question them without feeling like you're questioning yourself. So you stay stuck, chasing things that drain you, trying to prove something that nobody's really asking you to prove, living in a cycle of performance instead of peace. Freedom begins when you realize you are not your desires. You're the one choosing them. Or at least, you can be. Desire thrives on distance. Want to know why desire is so addictive? Because it's almost always about something just out of reach, something distant, imagined, future-based. Desire isn't about what's real. It's about what could be. That means it's powered by fantasy, and fantasy is always cleaner than reality. In the mind, the new job has no annoying co-workers. The dream partner never disappoints you. The move to another city solves all your emotional problems. Desire lives in illusion, and the mind loves illusion more than truth, because illusions don't require work. That's why some people chase desires more than they chase joy. Joy is present, desire is elsewhere, and when you're addicted to what's next, you can't feel what's now. The problem isn't wanting, it's needing. Desire becomes dangerous when it turns into a requirement for self-worth. When you tell yourself, I'll be happy when, I'll love myself if, I'll finally be okay once. You give your peace to a future condition, and that future never arrives the way you think it will, because even when you get the thing, you're still the same person underneath. If you were anxious before, you'll be anxious after. If you were insecure before, you'll bring that insecurity into the win. If you didn't feel like enough before, no amount of more will change that. Unless you address the relationship with desire, not just the objects of desire, you'll stay empty with a full life. Desire plus awareness, nas, power. The goal isn't to become desireless, it's to become aware. You can still want the house, the money, the love, the body. But now, you're clear on why. You're not filling a void. You're expressing a vision. You're not chasing identity. You're building a life. This is when desire becomes creative instead of consuming. It becomes an extension of your values, not a distraction from them. And when you move from that place, desire fuels you. It doesn't drain you. The desire detox practice. Here's a simple practice to reconnect to your truth. List 5 things you currently want. Be honest. Don't filter it. Next to each one, ask, why do I really want this? Keep going until you hit a core belief, e.g., to feel free, to be respected, to prove I'm good enough. Now ask, is there a way to feel that now, before the goal arrives? That's your access point to fulfillment, right now, not later. Once you start sourcing your emotional states internally, desire stops owning you. You stop being a hostage to when. You return to now. And ironically, you move faster, cleaner, with more joy, because the weight is gone. Want from wholeness, not wound. That's the takeaway. You can want, you can dream, you can build, but do it from wholeness, not wound. Not because you're broken, not because you're behind, not because you need to catch up, but because you are already enough, and everything you desire is just an echo of who you're becoming, not proof of who you need to be. Chapter 8. Overvaluing ownership. Why we crave more than we need. There's a moment right after the purchase where everything feels perfect. You get the keys, you unbox the item, you put it on, power it up, take it home. For a second, you feel elevated, important, satisfied. But then, the feeling fades. You get used to it. You start eyeing the next version. The glow wears off, and you're left with just another thing. Ownership has become a performance. We don't just own things to use them. We own them to feel something, to display something, to be seen a certain way. But here's the trap. We mistake possession for peace. And the more you chase ownership as identity, the further you drift from actual fulfillment. The illusion of having society trains you to believe that ownership equals success. Own the car, chasse freedom. Own the house, chasse status. Own the clothes, chasse respect. Own the tech, chasse relevance. Own the followers, chasse influence. But real ones know, none of those things guarantee happiness. You can own a luxury car and still feel small. Own a house and still feel unstable. Own a collection of designer outfits and still feel insecure. Own followers and still feel invisible. Because ownership doesn't heal internal emptiness. It just distracts you from it for a little while. You don't want the thing, you want the feeling. Think about it. You don't actually want money. You want the feeling of freedom, security, respect. You don't want the relationship just for the status. You want to feel seen, desired, connected. You don't want the new phone because yours is broken. You want to feel current, fresh, plugged into the world. Everything we chase is tied to a feeling. And if you don't understand that, you'll keep buying symbols instead of cultivating experiences. You'll keep accumulating stuff and still feel unsatisfied, because the feeling doesn't come from the thing. It comes from how you perceive yourself while you have it. Consumerism feeds insecurity. Let's be real. The system wants you insecure. Insecurity keeps the machine running. If you believed you were enough, you'd buy less, scroll less, compare less, obsess less. But when you feel like you're not quite there yet, you become a perfect consumer, always upgrading, always watching others, always one purchase away from finally feeling good. Ownership becomes medicine, but the cure never lasts. That's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to wake up from it. The emotional weight of owning. Too much ownership sounds sexy, but it has a cost. Every item you own requires energy, even if you don't notice it. More stuff, there's more organizing. More subscriptions, more decisions. More clothes, more comparison. More flexes, more pressure to maintain the image. You carry the weight of everything you own, mentally, physically, emotionally. And sometimes, what feels like anxiety or overwhelm is actually just clutter in disguise. Too much noise, too much input, too many signals that you need more to be enough. Sometimes peace doesn't come from adding, it comes from subtracting, reclaiming the power of use. Here's a shift. Instead of asking, "What can I get?" start asking, "How can I use what I already have better?" Your clothes, your skills, your voice, your space, your time, your connections, your body, your ideas. You might be sitting on value you haven't activated yet because you've been too focused on what's missing. Ownership is hollow when it's not tied to use, because possession without purpose becomes a burden. You don't need more. You need more meaning from what you already have. Your identity is not in your inventory. You are not your car. You are not your watch. You are not your followers. You are not your job title. You are not your income bracket. You are not your wardrobe. You are not your apartment aesthetic. You are not what you have. You are what you do with what you have. You are how you show up when no one's watching. You are how you treat people who can't benefit you. You are what you give, not just what you collect. And once you see that, you stop performing ownership. You start embodying value. Minimalism is not the goal, clarity. This isn't about becoming a minimalist monk, it's about clarity. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? What am I chasing just to impress people I don't respect? What in my life have I outgrown, but still cling to for identity? Letting go isn't loss, it's liberation. Because when you clear space, life breathes again. And you stop defining your worth by your possessions. You define it by your presence. Let ownership serve you, not define you. The shift is simple. Own things, use things, enjoy things, but don't become them. Let ownership serve your life, not shape your identity. Because you're not here to build a museum of shiny stuff. You're here to live, to create, to connect, to express. And often, the richest moments in life are the ones that cost nothing, but mean everything. Chapter 9. Designing Satisfaction. Intentionally shaping what enough looks like. Most people never define what enough means. They chase more by default, thinking one day the feeling will click. But it doesn't, because if enough isn't designed, it's never found. Satisfaction isn't something you stumble into. It's something you build. With awareness, with limits, with clarity on what matters and what doesn't. Without that, your ambition will never have boundaries. And a life without boundaries becomes a blur of consumption disguised as progress. Why satisfaction doesn't come naturally? Humans are wired for survival, not contentment. Your ancestors didn't stop to celebrate when they found food. They didn't pause to reflect when things were good. They scanned for danger, planned the next move, stayed on edge. You inherited that system, and now it's running in a world that never stops feeding you stimuli. You're not just trying to survive anymore. You're trying to outdo, outperform, out-hustle, constantly. So unless you step back and design your stop point, you'll never feel finished. You'll never feel fulfilled. You'll just feel busy. The myth of automatic contentment. Here's the lie. Once I have X, I'll be satisfied. But satisfaction doesn't arrive automatically. Not with money, not with milestones, not with lifestyle upgrades. You've already lived this. You hit the goal. You get the thing. You feel the high. For a second. Then the mind says, okay, now what? Because satisfaction isn't created by arrival. It's created by awareness. You decide that you're fulfilled. You don't wait to be told you are. Clarity is the new wealth. If you don't know what enough looks like, you'll overspend, you'll overwork, you'll overthink, you'll say yes to things that aren't aligned. You'll fill your life with obligations and distractions. and wonder why it still feels empty. That's why clarity is wealth. When you know what matters to you, you stop moving like you're lost. So pause. Ask yourself, what does enough money look like? Not to impress, but to live well. What does enough attention feel like? Not for ego, but for connection. What does enough success mean? On your terms, not the world's. Because until you define that, your life won't feel yours. The satisfaction formula. Let's simplify. Satisfaction, DAOs, clarity on what you value. Gratitude for what you have. Intentional limits on what you pursue. Each part matters. Clarity filters what matters from what's noise. Gratitude keeps your attention grounded in the present. Limits protect your energy from infinite chasing. Without these, your desires multiply endlessly. But with them, you begin to feel calm, centered. You stop sprinting toward a finish line that keeps moving because you've chosen your finish line, and it feels good. Design your personal enough plan. Try this exercise. Step 1. Define enough in 5 key areas. Write what enough looks like in the following. Income. What's your actual baseline for peace, security, and fun? Time. How many hours per week do you want for rest, creation, connection? Connection. How many close relationships do you truly need to feel loved? Progress. What does meaningful growth look like for you, not society? Lifestyle. What kind of home, food, environment, and pace of life feels good to you? No right answers, only true ones. Step 2. Ask, what have I already hit? Tick off anything you already have, but never gave yourself credit for. Instant dopamine reset. Step 3. Ask, what's no longer necessary? Let go of the old versions of enough that were never yours. This clears the path. You can still grow without being hungry. Designing satisfaction doesn't mean you stop evolving. It means you stop suffering while evolving. You still have goals, but you're not chasing them to feel worthy. You're chasing them because they align, not because they'll fix you. That's mature growth. Grounded, steady, full even while in motion. Because you're no longer chasing for peace. You're carrying peace with you. Letting enough be sacred. You don't owe anyone your burnout. You don't have to push forever. You don't have to prove your ambition by destroying your joy. At some point, you get to say, this is enough. I'm proud. I'm grounded. I'm alive in my life. That doesn't mean you stop. It means you stop bleeding for more when you're already holding gold. Satisfaction is sacred. Protect it. Design it. Live it. On purpose. Chapter 10. The Abundance Audit. A method to reveal the wealth. Already in your life, abundance isn't a number. It's a relationship between what you have and what you notice. Some people live in overflow and still feel empty. Others have very little, but feel powerful, grounded, and grateful. The difference isn't their circumstances, it's their lens. And like any lens, you can clean it, adjust it, learn to see again. This chapter gives you a process for that. A personal audit, not of your finances or goals, but of your life's already present value. Because before you seek more, you should really see what's already here. The truth about lack. Most people don't live in actual lack. They live in perceived lack. They own 10 times what their grandparents had and feel poorer. They have access to more opportunities, tools, knowledge, and feel more stuck. They're surrounded by support and feel more alone. Why? Because modern culture conditions your attention to skip over what's present and obsess over what's absent. You're trained to measure what's missing. You see who didn't text back. You notice the weight that hasn't dropped. You replay the money you haven't made. You focus on what hasn't happened yet. And you miss the full-blown wealth already moving in your life. The Abundance Audit changes that. The audit, how it works. You're going to walk through 6 areas of life, not to critique, but to see clearly. Your only job is to look at what's there, not what's missing, not what could be better, just what is. Let's go. 1. Mental wealth. This is about clarity, creativity, ideas, and mindset. Ask yourself, what thoughts or beliefs have improved over the last year? What mental habits have I built that support me? What knowledge do I now have that past me didn't? What perspectives do I hold that keep me grounded? You're not the same thinker you used to be. That's abundance. 2. Emotional wealth. This is about resilience, healing, joy, and presence. Ask yourself, what emotions do I now know how to process instead of avoid? What brings me calm that used to bring chaos? What moments of peace or joy have I experienced recently, even briefly? If your nervous system is healing, you're already rich. 3. Relational wealth. This is about connection, community, trust, and love. Ask yourself, who in my life sees me fully and wants me to win? What relationships have deepened in quality, even if they're few? Where in my life do I feel safe to be myself? You don't need 1 million followers. You need a handful of real ones. That's abundance. 4. Physical wealth. This is about energy, ability, movement, and health. Ask yourself, what can my body do today that I take for granted? What healing or growth has happened physically in the past year? What foods, habits, or routines make me feel good in my skin? Even breath is a blessing. If you've got energy, you've got currency. 5. Practical wealth. This is about resources, stability, and freedom. Ask yourself, what do I own or have access to that makes life easier? What skills, tools, or platforms could I monetize or maximize? Where is money showing up that I haven't fully appreciated? Abundance isn't just about cash, it's also about capability. 6. Spiritual wealth. This is about meaning, direction, and deeper knowing. Ask yourself, what helps me feel connected to something bigger than myself? When have I felt guided, lucky, or aligned lately? What practices, even small ones, help me feel centered? If you have a sense of meaning, even loosely, you're not lost. You're rooted. That's rare. Total the truth. After this audit, take a breath. You may not have every box overflowing. That's normal. But notice how much you do have. How much has grown. How far you've come from past versions of yourself who begged for the life you now have. You've been evolving, quietly, steadily, even when it didn't feel like it. This is your reminder to register the wealth, to claim the abundance. Not someday. Now. How to keep seeing it. Abundance isn't a destination, it's a practice. Here's how to build it into your rhythm. Morning filter. What's already working in my life today? Midday anchor. What am I handling now that used to overwhelm me? Night audit. What did I receive, learn, or feel today that made me richer? You train your eyes to see differently, and once you see differently, you live differently. The richest people aren't just earning more, they're noticing more. The person who sees value everywhere moves with confidence. They don't panic in slow seasons. They don't shrink in silence. They don't depend on hype for worth. Because they know, I'm already in the middle of wealth. My job is to use it, to enjoy it, to multiply it with presence. That's abundance consciousness. And once you lock into it, you stop chasing validation and start orchestrating value. Chapter 11. From consuming to optimizing. How to use what you have to its fullest. Most people consume. A few people optimize. And the difference between those two is the difference between being drained and being driven. We live in a consumption culture. Endless scrolling, endless shopping, endless comparison, endless information. We call it learning. We call it inspiration. But let's be real. Most of it becomes noise. You keep taking in, but not doing anything with what you've taken. That's the trap. Consumption feels productive. Optimization is productive. And the people who shift from one to the other, they unlock a new kind of power. The illusion of input and progress. We're taught to collect things, collect courses, collect books, collect gear, collect advice, collect apps, collect goals, but collecting without converting, stagnation. You become a digital hoarder, tons of ideas, no execution, tons of resources, no results. You think you're building, but really, you're buffering. Input isn't bad, but without intention, it becomes escape. You're not stuck, you're oversaturated. And now it's time to clean the slate and activate. Optimization starts with presence. You can't optimize if you don't even know what you have. So start here. What tools, knowledge, or skills are you already sitting on that you're not using? What resources have you bought into? Programs, apps, devices, spaces that could serve you better if you re-engaged? What talents or habits are underused because you've been distracted by what's trending? Half the time, you don't need more. You just need to recommit to what you already have access to. Optimization begins with awareness, presence, ownership, from passive user to active builder. Here's the shift. The consumer says, "What else can I get?" The optimizer says, "What more can I do with what I've got?" Same tools, different mindset. The consumer watches 10 videos. The optimizer takes notes from one and applies it immediately. The consumer joins 3 programs. The optimizer commits fully to one until the results show up. The consumer scrolls for ideas. The optimizer creates something, even if it's small, from what's already in their head. This isn't about speed, it's about integration. The moment you start building instead of just watching, you separate yourself from 90% of people sleepwalking through their potential. Your environment reflects your energy. Look around your physical and digital space. How many open tabs are you not using? How many books have bookmarks halfway through? How many unfinished ideas are floating in your notes app? How many clothes, apps, or items are sitting unused, draining microenergy? Every piece of clutter is an open loop. Every unused resource is a missed signal to your brain. It's not about being minimal, it's about alignment. What you keep in your environment should match your direction. What you use should support your evolution. What you engage with should reflect your actual values, not your past dopamine loops. The optimization audit, quick hit. Here's a fast reset. Review. Choose 3 tools or platforms you use daily. Ask, am I getting the best from this? Revive. Choose one thing you paid for but never fully used. Reactivate it today. Repurpose. Take one piece of knowledge you already have and turn it into action. Post it. Teach it. Apply it. Build from it. Release. Eliminate one piece of digital or mental clutter that's just sitting there. Archive it. Delete it. Let it go. You're not just managing your time, you're managing your mental energy. And every bit of that energy needs to be optimized, not just occupied. The hidden joy of mastery. Optimization isn't just productive, it's satisfying. There's a unique peace that comes from using something well. A simple workspace that flows. A morning routine that feels effortless. A phone setup that supports, not distracts, a fitness habit that gives more than it takes. A relationship that's nurtured, not just maintained. You stop looking for new because you're finally maximizing now. That's joy, not the high of novelty, but the depth of mastery. Optimize, then expand. Once you fully use what you have, expansion becomes natural. You don't feel frantic, you feel ready. You buy from clarity, not impulse. You grow from wholeness, not fear, because now you've built a foundation. You're not collecting anymore. You're creating. You're not overstimulated. You're dialed in. And from that place, you don't just rise, you scale. Final word, be a conductor, not a consumer. You weren't born to just take in content. You were born to conduct impact, to move energy, to shape reality, to refine your tools, sharpen your focus, and leave a mark. The world doesn't need another watcher. It needs more optimizers, more activators, more people using their gifts, not just browsing for new ones. So take what you have, refine it, max it out, make it work for you. Because the version of you that's unstoppable isn't hidden in some future resource. It's sitting in everything you already own. Chapter 12, The 30-Day Recalibration. A practical program to reset your desires and mindset. You've been consuming this book with a mission, not just to think differently, but to live differently. Now it's time to lock that shift in. This final chapter isn't theory, it's practice. It's 30 days of rewiring your mindset, upgrading your focus, and recalibrating your desires, so you can stop reaching and start receiving. You've already felt the shift building. This program cements it. Why 30 days? Because clarity doesn't stick without repetition. If you've spent years chasing more, comparing constantly, or tying your self-worth to external validation, then this mindset is installed. You don't delete it with one insight. You overwrite it with new habits, new focus, new rituals, day by day, quietly but completely. 30 days of conscious recalibration will change the way you experience your own life, permanently. How this works. Each day follows a simple structure: one reflection, one action, one anchor, reminder, mantra. These are not heavy tasks. They're light, but loud in impact. You can write them down, say them aloud, or just sit with them in silence. Do them first thing in the morning or right before bed. Just stay consistent. This is about deliberate direction. Week 1. See what's already yours. Goal: rewire your perception. Train your mind to notice existing wealth. Day 1. Reflection. What's one thing I used to pray for that's now part of my daily life? Action. Sit with it. Appreciate it for 3 full minutes. Anchor. I live in the blessings I once begged for. Day 2. Reflection. What in my life feels normal now, but is actually extraordinary? Action. Say thank you out loud, 3 times. Anchor. Ordinary is a gift disguised as routine. Day 3. Reflection. Who in my life brings me quiet joy? Action. Let them know. Anchor. Connection is a currency I already own. Day 4. Reflection. What's one possession I overlook that makes my life easier? Action. Use it today, with full presence. Anchor. I don't need more, I need to notice more. Day 5. Reflection. What inner strength have I developed recently? Action. Name it, claim it, embody it. Anchor. I am becoming more, even when it's silent. Day 6. Reflection. What do I know now that past me didn't? Action. Write a note to your past self. Anchor. Growth is already in motion. Day 7. Reflection. What made me feel grateful today? Action. Capture it in a single sentence. Anchor. Gratitude is my frequency. Week 2. Reclaim your attention. Goal. Reduce noise. Reclaim your mental real estate. Day 8. Reflection. What steals my focus daily? Action. Eliminate one distraction for 24 hours. Anchor. My peace is more important than stimulation. Day 9. Reflection. What am I consuming that makes me feel small? Action. Unfollow, mute, or delete one source of that energy. Anchor. I curate my inputs. I protect my mind. Day 10. Reflection. When do I feel most present and alive? Action. Schedule that experience again, even for 15 minutes. Anchor. I deserve presence, not just productivity. Day 11. Reflection. What story about lack have I outgrown? Action. Write a new narrative. Anchor. My story is mine to rewrite. Day 12. Reflection. What platform, habit, or app do I use out of boredom? Action. Replace it with stillness or a meaningful action today. Anchor, I am not bored, I am underutilized. Day 13. Reflection, what does enough feel like today? Action, describe it in 5 words. Anchor, enough is a decision, not a destination. Day 14. Reflection, where did I win today, even in a small way? Action, celebrate, no matter how quietly. Anchor, momentum is built on noticing. Week 3. Redesign your desires. Goal, reconnect to true wants, not programmed ones. Day 15. Reflection, what do I currently want, and why? Action, journal until you hit the real reason. Anchor, I question my desires before I chase them. Day 16. Reflection, what's one desire I've inherited but no longer believe in? Action, let it go. Anchor, I release goals that aren't mine. Day 17. Reflection, what do I want because it's aligned, not because it's impressive? Action, take one micro step toward it. Anchor, I move from alignment, not approval. Day 18. Reflection, where am I using more to escape discomfort? Action, sit with the discomfort. Name it. Anchor, I face my emotions, I don't outsource them. Day 19. Reflection, what's a desire that once drove me but now drains me? Action, cut its influence off. Anchor, what no longer fits no longer leads. Day 20. Reflection, what does authentic success look like to me? Action, write a personal definition. Anchor, success is peace in motion. Day 21. Reflection, if I had nothing to prove, what would I want? Action, choose one thing to move toward from that version of you. Anchor, I want from wholeness, not wound. Week 4. Build from enough. Goal, anchor into grounded abundance. Take rooted action. Day 22. Reflection, what do I have enough of right now? Action, make it your focus for the day. Anchor, I use what I have like it's sacred. Day 23. Reflection, how can I serve or share from my current position? Action, do it, even in a small way. Anchor, what I give grows. Day 24. Reflection, what in my environment is silently helping me succeed? Action, acknowledge it, respect it. Anchor, support surrounds me, seen and unseen. Day 25. Reflection, what can I repurpose or reactivate in my life? Action, bring it back into rotation. Anchor, everything I need is already near me. Day 26. Reflection, what's one way I can simplify my life today? Action, do it. Anchor, simplicity sharpens power. Day 27. Reflection, what's one decision I've been postponing that's costing me energy? Action, make it. Anchor, clarity is a kindness I give myself. Day 28. Reflection, what moment today made me feel rich, emotionally, mentally, spiritually? Action, name it, frame it, keep it. Anchor, I collect moments, not just milestones. Day 29. Reflection, what habits now reflect the life I used to wish for? Action, let that sink in. Anchor, I am living proof that evolution is real. Day 30. Reflection, how has my definition of enough changed in the past month? Action, write your new statement of enoughness. Anchor, I no longer chase peace, I choose it, every day. And now, you've reset your lens, you've clarified your values, you've upgraded your inner operating system. This isn't the end, it's the installation. The rewired version of you, aware, present, grounded, doesn't need more to feel full. You'll still grow, you'll still achieve. But now, it'll be from overflow, not hunger. Because now you know, it was already yours.